Hey everyone, I'm here today taking a look at the Toony Terrors American Werewolf in London set from NECA. I'll try and give you a shot of the figures in package, but there's a lot of reflection on the front there. But I will show you all of the interior of the box later on, because there's a really nice background in there that you can use for the figures on display. But the back of the box has a picture of the toys as well as a load of Easter eggs from the film, like the slaughtered lamb sign, the balloons, and the coat that David uses to cover himself, 5-pointed star. So some really nice packaging. Now in the set, at the back of the packaging, you get a really nice backdrop of East Proctor. You've got the slaughtered lamb and then a couple of houses either side, as well as the moors in the background and the moon. So this makes for a really good background to display your figures with. I'm looking forward to, at Halloween, having this behind all my Toony Terrors that I have out on display. First I'll take a look at Jack. And it's really cool to get a figure of Jack finally, though I always prefer how he looked when he first appeared to David in the hospital, when he's a fresh kill. There's some great gore effects on the neck, especially that kind of bit of skin that flaps around every time he moves. But still, this is pretty nice. It's based on how he looked when he last appears in the movie theatre near the end of the movie. Articulation-wise, it's pretty basic, even for a Toony Terror. The arms go forward and backwards, so you can kind of spin them all the way around if you want to. The hands will swivel as well, so if you want you can have him do a kind of typical zombie pose with his hands out in front of him like that. The head's on a ball joint, so there's a good range of movement with the head there. Then there's no articulation in the legs whatsoever, other than swivelling at the waist like that. Now normally these Toony Terrors used to have articulation at the groin, you know, at the hips, as well as at the shoulders. But they're getting more and more like statues. I mean, it's very limited articulation when there's not even articulation in the legs to move them. So that's a bit disappointing. I hope they're not going to go further down this path, because I want a bit of articulation. I know these are supposed to be simple figures, but still, we want them to actually be action figures. But it's a nice sculpt though, and nice paint job. See, half of his face is more rotted than the other. So you can see some bone sticking through there. It's a lot more skull-like, with his eyeball completely visible. Then on this side there's sort of grey rotted flesh a bit more. It's still got his eyelids. Got his green puffer jacket with blood stains from all the wounds on his arm. Going around to the back there. Even though these are cartoony, they've still got some nice little details like the ruffles in the coat there. And his jeans and his boot. I don't think his jeans were curled up at the bottom like that in the film. I know it's only a minor detail, but I did watch the film last night and it didn't look like he had his jeans like that. Not a big deal really, but it's, you know, it's more bloodstains on his grey boots as well. So it's a nice looking figure. It's what you'd expect really from Toony Terrors. And now on to Jack Kessler in his Kessler Werewolf form. Now, much like David, there's no articulation in the back legs. They are completely solid. It's only the front legs that have articulation. It will go forward and backwards. That's pretty tight. Oh, that one's really tight. I don't want to force it. That one should move, but I don't want to force it and risk breaking it. But it should move like that one, but mine's very tight. Not that you can really do much with that articulation, because with the back legs not moving, you kind of have to have the front legs like that. There's not much else you can do. I suppose you can have one leg up as if he's about to attack, but then it tends to fall down. So even though it's nice having the articulation, it's a bit useless, I guess, really. The head's on a ball joint, but it won't move that much because of all the hair, which is understandable. I don't really hold that against the figure. It is a bit difficult when you've got all that fur around the head, but you can get it to move from side to side and up and down a bit for a bit of a variety. You can see it looks up and down quite well there. Nice sculpting detail, the grey fur, and it's a lot lighter around the face and the paws. The teeth there. Here's a look at the other side of the figure. Awesome looking werewolf design. I've always loved American Werewolf in London, so it's great to get more figures based on it in Toony Terrors and in the Ultimates line. More of a close-up of the face so you can see the detailing there and the paint job. It does look pretty awesome with the background there. I think you'd be able to take some cool looking photographs using the backdrop that comes with the figures. Here it is next to the Ultimates version, which is obviously a lot more accurate to the movie, but I do like these cartoony Scooby-Doo inspired versions. Hopefully at some point we'll get an Ultimates Jack, and ideally for me it would be how he first appears in the hospital rather than this design. Here they are with a load of other Toony terrors, and if I get Michael Myers here, you can see that Michael is quite a bit taller than Jack, which makes sense because Jack was a shorter guy and Michael and Jason and that were pretty big characters, so it is in scale. And here's David with a couple of other werewolf figures that are in the same sort of scale. We've got a Scooby-Doo werewolf and a Tales from the Crypt Keeper werewolf, which is a really cool werewolf design. And this is where I think the real fun is with Toony Terrors, to pair them up with Scooby-Doo figures, because that's basically what these are designed for. It's a bit of a copy of I.B. Trav's idea of getting all the old horror movie characters and putting them in a Scooby-Doo design. And they do look pretty good together. You know, Jack scales up well with Shaggy there. It's great having more American Werewolf in London figures. They got nice sculpts and designs to them, though I am a bit put off by the decreasing amount of articulation in these figures. I hope that this isn't going to be a thing moving forward with NECA, maybe as a cost-cutting measure, but I don't want these to end up becoming statues. I still want them to have posable arms and legs. But otherwise, it's a really great set. I love the backdrop that comes with it of East Proctor as well. It will make a really great display to have out at Halloween. I just want to thank Dave Newman and Keep On Collecting for sponsoring me on Patreon. Thanks for watching everyone, and I'll catch you again soon.